And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Simon versus Calverledge, step forward, please.
25-year-old grant writer Jennifer Simon is suing her ex-roommate, 24-year-old designer Katie Calverledge, for breaking their apartment lease. Katie says she moved out because Jennifer has a temper.
All right, let's get some stipulated facts here so that we can move on with this case quickly. Ms. Simon, the defendant was a roommate of yours in a shared house.
That's correct.
And according to you, she left 1 month prior to her agreed tenancy.
Yes.
Owing some $900 in rent.
Yes.
The defendant says that while she did agree to remain initially agreed to remain as a roommate and share expenses for the month of January, she was forced to move out because of the behavior that was going on in the house.
Yes.
And you also say, Ms. Simon, that when she left some of her personal property there that was there during the month of January in 2003.
That's correct, making the room unrentable.
Okay. Why did you move out?
I moved out because the behavior that I was dealing with, living with them in the apartment, was unreasonable.
Tell me about the behavior.
Loud, fighting, screaming, physical fighting.
Who was fighting?
Jen and her roommate Amit.
Tell me about it.
I would come out of the shower at 8 o'clock in the morning and there would be screaming and fighting in the hallway. It generally consisted of Jen trying to strike Amit and he would try to hold her back. And
how many times did this happen?
Probably 15, 20 times.
Okay, and when did you speak to her about it?
The first week of November, last week of October. I spoke to both of them at the same time, and I told them the reasons I was unhappy living there, that being one of them, and that if it continued and if I continued to feel uncomfortable living there, I would go back to our original agreement, which was to move out at the end of December.
Did they agree to that?
Yes, they acknowledged I was upset and that was my wishes.
No. Did they agree to the fact that they would allow you to modify your rental agreement with them?
Yes.
Is that correct?
No, I don't remember. Amit and I tend to fight sometimes.
Is he your boyfriend?
No, he's not. We've been friends for a long time, but I don't recall the conversation that she's talking about, nor do I ever remember talking about a different move-out time. Our lease ended January 31st, and we were all supposed to live there until January 31st.
Can I ask a question?
Of who?
Of Jen.
No, you ask me.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah, you can ask me.
When I originally moved in, I was told that the lease ended December 31st,
that's true.
Not January.
I was taking a shorthand, a bit of a shorthand. Okay. Originally, the lease was up the end of December, but then you all agreed to extend it until the end of January.
Yes.
That was by agreement, so I made a shorthand. Now, when after October and November were you subjected to the kind of behavior that forced you to move, and did you in fact tell Miss Simon that you were moving?
Yes.
What reason did you give her?
I told her that I did not appreciate being witness to the fighting.
When did you tell her that?
The first week of November.
No. After that. You stayed November, you stayed
the first
December.
week of December. The first week of December, I told her my father was coming to town to move my things out the following week, the second week of December.
Is that correct that she moved her things out in December?
She packed up some of her things. Her father did come in mid-December. However, I was of the understanding that it was because she would be gone in Europe for 2 weeks in January. She told us that she would be coming back after the 2-week vacation for the last 2 weeks in January, and she would live with us the last 2 weeks. Her father took some boxes, but she left her bed, she left her dresser, she left several boxes in her bedroom, in addition to several things in the family room and the kitchen.
Did you leave your bed?
No.
I don't believe that.
There's a futon mattress.
Whatever it is that what you slept on?
Yes.
Okay, just a second. Don't play with me.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
So you left your bed. Did you leave a dresser?
No, it was not my dresser. The dresser was there when I moved in.
Had you been using it?
I had used it.
Okay. Did you leave any boxes?
Not to my knowledge.
She left 3 boxes in her bedroom, in addition to a chair in the family room, a microwave in the kitchen, and miscellaneous items
Did
throughout.
she ever come back to get the chair and the microwave?
No, she never took the chair or the microwave. She had a cousin come the last week in January. She moved the bed to the curb, and she took some of the boxes with her, and she tried to move every...
Just a second. Did you know this cousin?
No, we had never met her before.
A female?
Yes.
What's your cousin's name that came to...
I didn't have a cousin come.
Who came?
My friend Jennifer, came with me.
So your friend came with you and you moved out what?
I moved the mattress out and I gathered up my box, my one box that I had discovered that she had moved into.
Where
that
did you
room.
find the box?
It was in that room.
In that room. And what month did you move out the futon and the box?
It was January 16th.
Then you owe her for the month of January. Cookie. You don't leave your stuff, which you did, and expect somebody else to pay your rent. If you, in fact, moved out because of problems that you were having, then you moved out. Your father was there. He was there with a car. He takes all of your stuff and he moves out. And you take your futon and you take your box and you take your microwave and you take your chair and you move out. You don't play with me. So you owe her $735, which is rent and your share of the bills. Take care of your obligations. That's all. Step out.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Back.
It's completely ridiculous. She left so many items there that we couldn't rent the room, even if we had had any notice, which we didn't.
The items they're claiming I left there were items we had agreed that I was going to be giving them moving out in the first place, so whatever.
Completely ridiculous. She never sat us down. She never told us that she was going to move out.
Calling me names behind my back when I was leaving the room after asking them at 3 o'clock in the morning to be quiet and quit having parties in the hallway and the living room.
I
think she participated very much in the partying lifestyle.
Homemaker Jeanette Troush is suing her neighbor, homemaker Maureen Barton, for verbal assault. Maureen is countersuing for attorney fees she incurred after Jeanette filed false charges.
Order. All rise. Yes, this is case number 162 on the calendar in the matter of Troush versus Barton. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks have seats.
All right, you two ladies used to be friends, neighbors, now you're enemies. Each one of you claim that the other is harassing the other. You also, Ms. Troush, claim that the defendant either stole or took your lawnmower. Ms. Barton says that in addition to the harassment, you filed a complaint against her, criminal complaint, which caused her name to be circulated in the paper, and were you arrested?
Yes, I was, Your Honor.
She was arrested. It was embarrassing, and it was all done out of a vindictiveness. How long have you known each other?
For several years, Your Honor.
Before you became neighbors?
No, we had lived there, and then her and her husband and family moved in.
And you became friends?
Yes.
For years?
Yes.
So what caused the problem?
Well, I decided to break off the friendship.
Why?
She had done numerous things in the past that morally I didn't agree with, and it just led up to a point where one day when I walked up to her door, I heard her and her live-in friend Rita talking about me behind my back, and I just thought that was the last straw.
Okay. When was that?
Somewhere around November of last year.
Okay. Now, Ms. Barton, why do you think that this relationship went sour?
Okay, we were friends for a period of time, and then there was an incident with my neighbor where she called the police and told the police that my neighbor
Who's she?
Jeanette had told the police that my neighbor had threatened to beat her up. The police came to my door. My daughter and my son were outside playing at the time. My daughter didn't hear him threaten her, and neither did I. I wasn't even outside. Well, the police came and they asked me if I had heard him threaten her. I told the officer, no, I did not, because I wasn't outside. She got upset with me. After the police left...
Well, how did she know that you had had that discussion with the police officer?
She was standing outside. We lived directly across from each other.
What did she say?
After the officer left, I went over there and I was talking to her, and she's like, don't talk to me, and I can't believe that you wouldn't stick up for me. We've been friends for so long. And I told her, Jeanette, I didn't hear him threaten you, and I wasn't going to lie to the officer. Well, your daughter was standing up.
When was that? Was that in November? Was that in November, Ms. Troush?
I don't know when it was, Your Honor. She's talking about my neighbor, Robert.
I have the police report.
Oh, let me see the police report. Maybe that'll
And
give
I
us...
have also the newspaper I was in.
I don't need that yet. I'm trying to figure out when all this trouble started and why.
Okay,
and whether the court should be involved with it or you should take care of it yourselves.
That same day, she accused him of loosening nuts on her car.
Okay. Let me just see the date on it. Oh, well, you say it was November of 2001. This is October of 2001. So it came around the same time.
Yeah.
That's when you stopped being friends.
No,
Now,
I don't even know, what she's talking about. I had called the police on that neighbor so many times for playing his music out in front.
well, this was a nuts and bolts incident, madam, in October of 2001.
That same night, she put a sign in her window. She made up a sign and it said, "Help me, someone is trying to kill me." It was there for 3 days. The co-ops that I live in made her take it down.
So then you became enemies. Now you say that there's been problem with a lawnmower and harassment. I'll hear you, Miss Troush, and you have 60 seconds or less to tell me all about this childishness.
Okay. On March 14th, she was yelling out the window. When I got out of my car, she said the BIT filed a complaint against me. She encouraged people in her home to say things to me like, "What a BIT." Again, on Saturday, April 13th, Maureen was yelling out the window to me as I walked from the car to the house, and that's what she usually starts yelling and cursing at me the minute I get out of the car and start walking to the house. And then Tuesday, May 21st, again. And then on Thursday, May 23rd, I just couldn't take it anymore because she said, "You're going to be hurting. I'm going to get you. You're going to get yours. You can't watch your car 24 hours a day. You won't get away with filing a false police report."
And this was May?
And that was May 23rd.
Oh, okay.
And I have a police report and a witness. Another neighbor was outside and heard.
Okay. So she's saying not nice things to you.
Right.
You don't get compensated for that. Tell me about the lawnmower.
Well, what happened is right after May 23rd, and I had filed the complaint with the police, the very next weekend.
What did you file a complaint with the police about?
Because she said she's going to get me and she's going to do something to our car. And
No. Listen to me.
Okay.
Don't make things up as you go along. You said that she said she was going to do something to you as a result of you filing a false police report about her.
Right.
When did you file the police report?
I didn't, and she didn't even know I didn't file a police report. I had called the police.
Okay.
I called the police.
When did you call the police?
I
What
called
date?
the police Tuesday, May 21st. Her and one of her friends was having a fight in our street, and they were yelling back and forth at each other, and it was really early in the morning, I think 2 a.m., and so I called the police, and somebody, the driver of the vehicle, threw a mug and broke it on our street and then peeled out of there, and that's why I had called the police, and that's what she was angry about.
Okay. What report did you make to the police? Can I see the police report? Because she must have
That is
it.
not true what she just said. This is what happened because the police came to my house. On the next page, it tells you what they found.
So you filed a police report. You made a complaint on the 21st of May. I want to hear about the lawnmower.
Okay, after I had made the complaint on May 23rd, the very next week, our lawnmower was stolen.
Yes?
And I'm just saying, it seemed pretty coincidental.
Okay. That's it? That's your side?
Well, there's more, Your Honor. I mean, Maureen knows that I'm a cancer patient and that I have a lot of stress already dealing with my cancer, but yet she continually goes outside and verbally just yells at me. She shouts at the top of her lungs all these bad things to me. Here's a statement from my neighbor.
I don't read statements from neighbors.
And my husband was there, and he heard her, and he knows how many times he's come home, and I've told him how she does this to me.
That's not nice. It doesn't come under the category of being actionable in court. She says not nice things to you. Courts don't get involved with that.
And
I certainly don't get involved with that.
We had our lug nuts loosened 3 times. So
you seem to have a lot of trouble with a lot of neighbors.
No, we don't.
Well, you had trouble with this neighbor.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I've lived in many neighborhoods and had a lot of neighbors. I have never called the police on a neighbor. Never.
And later today.
Why did you cause this damage to the apartment?
It wasn't intentional damage.
Yes, of course it was. Did somebody drug you?
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Jeanette Troush says neighbor Maureen Barton owes for a stolen lawnmower and for nonstop verbal assaults. Maureen says Jeanette had her falsely arrested.
Now, you said that you called the police on this neighbor several times for loud music,
Well, he's
for
a young
touching your
kid.
car, for lug nuts. I mean, that's all in here.
He's
So
a
you
young
seem
kid.
to have problems with a lot of your neighbors.
Only them two, and it's mostly
Just a
Maureen.
minute. The neighbor that you initially called a police report in on, where the police asked her about the alleged threats, was that this 21-year-old boy or a different neighbor?
It would have been Robert. Yeah.
Not a different neighbor.
No.
Okay.
Robert lives right next to Maureen.
Okay. All right, Miss Barton, why don't you tell me about your counterclaim?
Okay, June 21st, I was sitting on my porch, and I was with my daughter and my son. Jeanette was getting out of her car with her husband. They were walking, because she lives directly across from me. Okay, as they were walking to their car, I had coughed. Well, Jeanette turned around and she looked at me and she said, "Why don't you shut up?" And I told her, "No, why don't you shut up and leave me alone?" That's when her husband, Joe, turned around and started flipping us the finger.
Oh, yeah, okay.
He was flipping the finger. Okay, they went into the house, and 2 days later, an officer came to my door, and my husband was home. I wasn't. They asked me to come in because they had to ask me some questions. So I went into the police department. I then proceeded to get arrested for a verbal assault that she had claimed that I made against her. She had told the officer that she had a witness that heard me say that I was going to beat her up, I was going to ruin her car, she was going to get hurt, which I never made those statements, but she claimed I did. They arrested me. I went to court, and they dropped the charges in court. My name was published in the newspaper for this arrest, for everybody to see. I didn't do none of this stuff to her. And this is ongoing. It's every day. It's like she'll call the police, and if she doesn't get the results she wants, she goes for something bigger. And I just want this to stop.
Rana, I'd like to say the same thing. You know,
How many times has the defendant called the police with regard to your actions?
how many times has Maureen called the police on me?
Yes.
Never, I don't think.
Never. How many times have you called the police with regard to her or any other neighbor? More than 5?
Definitely more than 5.
More than 10?
May I?
No, just answer my question. More than
Not
10?
more. I wouldn't say more than 10, Your Honor.
Would you say 10?
I'd say it's getting close to 10.
All right. How old are you?
35.
35. I am several decades your senior, and I've lived in many neighborhoods and had a lot of neighbors.
Sure.
I have never called the police on a neighbor. Never. Had some I liked, I have some I didn't like, I have some that played music loud, I have some that played music I didn't like loud. I'd never called the police on a neighbor.
I understand.
Well, if you want to live someplace and not be bothered by other people, and if you have certain physical problems and you want to live stress-free, go build a cabin in the country.
I understand that.
Listen to me. Go build a cabin where you have no other neighbors. Police have other things to do other than to respond to your, for want of a better word, mishigas, which means your craziness. You got to stop that. Harassment has as its core not somebody saying bad things to a former friend. And I believe her when she says that you were annoyed with her because you had made a complaint against this neighbor. The police came to her, asked her whether she could validate your complaint. She said no, and you got angry. That's exactly how this started. Now, you may have then heard conversations about you, which made you madder, but that's how this problem started. You don't get compensated for that. And this lawnmower baloney that you threw in here, you have no idea who stole your lawnmower a week later? None whatsoever. Why would you even accuse her of doing something when you have absolutely no proof? None. Did you file a formal complaint against her or anyone of her family with regard to the lawnmower?
I did make a report about it, and I did.
You made a report about it. In the police report, did you say that you think you knew who took your lawnmower?
I said it could have been a possibility.
What could have been a possibility?
That my neighbor Maureen, because we were having problems.
That's your problem. You get nothing. However, I believe that filing these charges which caused her arrest were vindictive. And it caused her name to be published in the paper. And it caused an arrest. How many times have you been arrested, Miss Barton? How many times
Twice.
altogether? Twice.
Twice.
For this and what else?
Prior, there was a dispute It was me and my husband. It was my husband, but then they dropped the charges, and he's the one that...
It was a domestic dispute between you and your husband. Other than the domestic dispute between you and your husband, have you ever been arrested for anything else?
No.
So it's embarrassing. You have children? Judgment on the counterclaim for the defendant in the amount of $2,500. That's all.
Thank you.
Parties
Claim
are
is
excused.
dismissed.
You may step out.
We did so many favors for her, and she just used us until she couldn't use us anymore.
Judge Judy saw through the lies. She saw what was really going on, and it spoke for itself.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Anzua versus Aldretti, step forward, please.
Hairstylist Karen Einzua and her husband Mako Einzua are suing Karen's brother, 25-year-old magician James Aldretti, for the cost to fix a rental car he wrecked.
Miss Einzua, the defendant is your brother. And
Yes.
according to your complaint, you did him a favor and you rented a car for him for credit reasons. Is that right, sir?
No, because I was under 25 at the time, and they charge you an additional fee just to rent. It would have just costed me way too much at the time.
Actually, it was also for credit reasons.
So you did him a favor and then he wrecked the car. And the rental company withdrew directly from your bank to cover the damage to the car. Ultimately, you settled with them, and the entire fiasco cost you $2,066.
Correct.
Good afternoon, Your Honor.
She rented the car for you. You used it exclusively.
Actually, she offered to rent the car for me.
But you used the car exclusively. It
Yes.
was for you. When did she rent the car for you?
I don't know the exact date. I know it was, I think, sometime in August. Say maybe the 23rd, maybe 20th. I don't have any.
And how long were you going to use the car?
I had no definite plan at the time because everything at the same time was just going on. You know,
Okay.
I don't want to bring personal matters into it.
When was
but-
the accident?
God, I don't remember the date. Maybe the 24th.
All right, now we get back to somebody who can give me some answers. When did you rent the car for him?
I rented the car September 12th, 2000.
Well, he was close. When were you notified that he was in an accident?
September 17th at night. He got in the accident early that morning.
Well, basically what I have to say about the case here is,
You were in an accident
Yes.
sometime on the 17th of September. Tell me about the accident.
well, I was coming home from work at that time. I worked at I was a manager at a strip club, and I was driving home. I got off of work kind of late, like 4 in the morning, and I was driving home on the freeway, and somebody cut me off on the freeway, and I ended up hitting the dirt, and it spun my car around. It spun the car around through the whole freeway and hit the center divider, then it knocked me off into a ditch. I was unconscious for like 10 minutes, and I woke up.
Were you
and,
injured?
I was, just internally a little bit. And,
Were you hospitalized?
just for like a couple hours until somebody came and picked me up.
No injuries that required any follow-up.
No.
So why aren't you responsible for this, sir?
Well, because first of all, I never asked her to rent me a car. She took the initiative to. I just asked her to come pick me up at the time because my car broke down. And
He begged me. He begged me.
Please. I want to hear him. Mr. Aldretti,
Yes.
I want to hear you, sir.
Okay. Well.
I am committed to hearing your defense in this case. I want you to understand that.
Okay. And anyways, she said, well, and I said, well, I want to rent a car, but I said it was going to cost me too much. And actually, at the time, when you go to rent a car, they want a credit card. And at the time, I had an ATM, and I didn't have the money in there because what they do is they withhold money for you from the time you rent the
I'm
car.
committed to hearing your defense, but not being bored to death, sir. Would you get on with your defense?
Okay. She said that she would rent me a car, and I said okay. And I feel like she took responsibility for her actions. She basically put her name and everything else on the line for her brother, obviously. And I started looking into it, and I don't feel like I'm responsible for it. I mean, if somebody came to me and said, hey, I need to borrow your car, or if I said, hey, go ahead and borrow my car since you need a car, I'm taking the responsibility for their actions. If they get into a car accident, it's my fault. I'm not going to go after them because they got into a car accident. First of all, it wasn't even my fault that I got into a car accident. I mean, I just don't feel like I'm responsible for it. I mean, if I'm going to let somebody use something of mine or get something for them or whatever, and something happens to it, I'm taking the responsibility for it. And the way I feel is that's what the insurance is for. I mean, she's my family, she's my sister, that she's like the only closest family that I have. She owns a business. I've done plenty of things for her as far as her business. I've gone to work for her without asking for anything.
I told you, I don't want to be bored to death. When you're finished, I'd just like you to say, Judge, that's my defense.
Well,
when you're finished.
My defense, Your Honor, is basically she took the responsibility for it. She put her name on the line, and that's what happened, and I feel she's responsible for it because I had nothing to, I had nothing to do with it. I didn't take the responsibility for the car. I never signed a contract saying if I get into an accident, I'm going to cover it or anything like that.
Are you ready for the sentence now?
I guess.
You know what the sentence is? Judge, that is my defense.
Oh.
Are you finished? I don't want to rush you.
Okay.
Mr. Andretti, I don't want to rush you, sir.
I just want to get things clear, that's why, because...
No, I want you to be clear.
Okay, and Your Honor, that the reason why I feel like...
Don't repeat yourself, though. I mean, because my mind is still relatively intact even at my age. You know, I don't like things repeated time after time after time. When you've said what your defense is, I'd like you to just let me know. Anything else?
Nope, that's it, Your Honor.
So can I have the sentence, please?
That's my defense.
Perfect. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,066. Mr. Andretti, there is something wrong with you. Now.
It's all Andretti.
There is something wrong with you.
It's all Andretti, though. I just want to...
Whatever.
Okay.
Your sister wasn't at the bar where you were working that night. She didn't drive home 4 o'clock in the morning. You were driving home 4 o'clock in the morning. She did you a favor, hoping that you would act responsibly, that if something happened to this car while you were driving it, that she wouldn't be out any money. She expected you to pay for the car that she was renting for you. That was your agreement, wasn't it? That you were going to pay her for the rental, right?
I wasn't going to... No, I never agreed to her that I was going to pay for anything.
You mean she was just renting the car for you and she was going to pay for the rental?
Well, I was going to pay for the rental.
That's what I just said, so pay attention.
But I never said I will pay for any damages or anything like that. She signed that waiver herself. I mean, she should be taking responsibility for her actions for saying, hey, I'll rent a car for you.
You know, I read your papers, your complaint and your answer in preparation to do this case. I read your words, and let me tell you the little notes that I made for myself. I said, brother smashes rental car that sister leased for him as a favor. Brother's answer is, duh. That was my note. That was my note. I was hoping I would come out here and hear something different from you, sir. That's why I gave you all the rope you needed.
But I feel like...
Grow up! Judgment for the plaintiff.
Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out there.
He's been so irresponsible in the whole matter.
Hey, look, I'm not responsible for it.
He just pretty much bailed out on me.
The way I feel is I don't owe you the money.
Hopefully one day we can, you know, be brother and sister again.
When they had their newborn child, I took care of them while they went to work.
We've always been really close until this point. You know, that's why I really didn't hesitate to rent him the car.
When she opened up her business, I went over there and did work for them while for nothing. I mean, I never asked them for a dime.
Unfortunately, it was his choice to put the strain on the relationship.
Accounts payable clerk Karen Martinez is suing window tinting technician Kent Singleton for detaining her at his place of business and then assaulting her.
Order. All rise. Yeah, on the case number 225 on the calendar in the matter of Martinez versus Singleton. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated, sir. Have a seat.
All right, Ms. Martinez, your claim is one for assault and injury that you allege that Mr. Singleton caused you. I'm going to try to put this case in perspective so we can get down to the nitty-gritty of it swiftly because I have other business today. You brought your car into his shop to have your car windows tinted.
Yes.
Had you ever had dealings with him before?
Never.
You brought it in early one morning, and when you called at about midday to find out the car was ready, Mr. Singleton or somebody else in the shop said that they hadn't started working on it yet, but it would be ready sometime later that day.
Correct.
Well, you were annoyed that your car hadn't been worked on yet. You came down to the shop to get the car. It was at that point that you claimed that there was an altercation. You got into your car and you claimed that Mr. Singleton became obstreperous, slammed the car door onto your left arm, causing you to be injured, causing pain and suffering and a whole bunch of other things. Mr. Singleton says you're a very good actress, right?
Yes.
When had you made arrangements to take the car into his shop, Miss Martinez?
I called him the evening before. I called him on the 26th.
And he said bring it in what time in the morning?
He said he does it only by appointments and to be there at 8 o'clock.
And you were there at 8 a.m.?
I was.
What time did he tell you to pick up the car?
He asked me to call him about 2 o'clock.
So what time did you call?
I actually called at 12 as I was leaving for lunch. I thought maybe when I was done with my lunch hour that I could go by and pick up my car. because the night before he had told me he would only need my car for 4 hours.
Okay. Called at noon, and what did he say?
He was very angry at me and told me that I was not supposed to call him until 2 o'clock. I was told not to call him. And I tried explaining to him, well, I'm leaving for lunch right now. I was going to be gone for an hour. I thought maybe at 1 p.m. I could come by and pick it up. Well, we haven't started it yet. And he said, call me back at 2. And I thought at that point, because he was so rude to me on the telephone, I didn't feel comfortable with him having my vehicle. So I called him back and I told him that I was on my way, that I wasn't going to have my car done there. If he needed my car for 4 hours, he wasn't going to have my car ready by 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, if he hadn't even started it
Fine,
yet.
so you went down to get your car. You told him, don't work on my car. I'm coming down to pick it up.
Yeah, and I said it very nicely. I wasn't angry.
So you went down to pick up your car.
Yes.
Go ahead.
I walked into the building. There, I have pictures of the building. I walked into the building on the left-hand side.
Would you talk to me and stop looking at pictures? I don't care which side you walked in.
Okay, well, I walked into the business, and I was standing at the counter. There was 2 gentlemen tinting windows. Mr. Singleton was not there. And I stood there for a moment, and I kind of said out loud, I'm here to pick up my keys for my vehicle. And I looked over, and there was a board on the left-hand side, and there was my keys, and there was an invoice there. And I go, oh, here they are right here. No one said anything, so I picked up my keys, and I actually took the invoice as well. It had no writing on it but my address. I was not comfortable with him having my address, so I wanted to remove my address out of there, and if he brought the invoice, it would show very clearly that I was not messing with his numbers if he had reasons.
You didn't think about all this stuff. Come on, you picked up your keys and the invoice was on it. What did you do next?
I started walking to my vehicle, and I believe his witness here was yelling at me, not the paperwork, not the paperwork. And I continued walking. Well, he came over and he snatched the paper out of my hand. And I said, well, that's okay. I go, I just wanted my address out of there. He got the paper and there was no words. I went to my car, I got in my car. Mr. Singleton came out of a totally different building, and he came up to my car, in front of my car, over to my car, and opened my car door. He was yelling at me.
Opened which door?
He opened my driver's door, where I was sitting. He opened my door.
You had already gotten into the car and closed the door.
I was in my car. I had started my car.
Go ahead.
And so he came over, opened my car door. He started yelling at me. He was furious at me. For what reason, I don't know why.
What did he say, Miss Martinez?
Oh, he was yelling at me that I was supposed to not call him until 2 o'clock. I couldn't even tell you everything he was yelling at me. I don't remember. I was shocked that he was yelling at me.
Go ahead.
So I tried closing my car door. I reached to close my car door, and he had his arm like this on my car door standing, and he pulled it back away from me. I said, it really doesn't matter. And he was so angry, and he just kept yelling at me. And so I sat there. There was nothing I could do. And then he's called me, and he slammed my door as hard as he could, and it hit me in my arm area here, and it shoved my area here. When he did that, he walked away. I sat there for a minute, 1, because I was in shock, 2, because he had just hurt me. And then I got out of my car and told him I was calling the police and having him arrested for assault.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
What you testified to today did not require a whole bunch of tears. You didn't find out that somebody died. You're a little bit of an actress.
And later today,
he proposed to me and broke it off.
So what? If he wasn't going to be a good husband, you're all going to go home and you're going to say, lucky, we called it off when we should have. Goodbye and good luck.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Karen Martinez says window tinting technician Kent Singleton detained her at his place of business and then assaulted her. Kent says Karen is a good actress.
Go ahead.
He yelled at me continually still. I asked my girlfriend, because my phone was not charged, I asked my girlfriend if I could use her telephone. So I got the phone from her and I called 911. He's yelling at me to get off his property. I was not in my car at that time and just kept yelling to get off his property. And I said, I'm trying, because I was getting the phone and dialing. So I finally did get off his property, and I waited for the police for about an hour and a half to get there. They took a report. I have the report.
I'd like to see the report.
Okay. The girlfriend that was with me, she had fully intended to come today. She's a school teacher, and she wasn't able to come today. Her statement...
I don't take her statement.
Okay.
How come you decided not to prosecute?
When the officer came out and took the report, I told him that I wanted to have him arrested, and he talked me out of it. He said that if I did that, he could turn around and have me arrested or have me prosecuted.
For what?
For a false statement, or I don't know why he said that. He just said that it could turn around on me.
Just says the victim desired no prosecution.
I've also talked to somebody at the station since then.
Don't tell me what you said to somebody at the station, madam. That's hearsay. Okay.
Well, I wanted to
have
find
a couple
out.
of things. What?
I wanted to find out because I didn't know that's what that meant. I didn't know that.
Well, that's what it
couldn't-
means. It means no prosecution. What do you mean you don't know what that meant? No prosecution.
Well, I didn't have the report at that time, so
but that's
I
what it
didn't
means.
know.
The victim desires no prosecution means that you decided not to prosecute. Mr. Singleton, okay, you have a slightly different version of the events, sir, but there's one thing that you do say. She was in her car with the car door closed, and you told the police that you opened her car door. Why did you do that, sir?
Because Rich told me what she said to him and what she did up in front, and he said that...
Wait a second. What she did was she took her keys and a piece of paper that was a work order. Your employee had already gotten back the work order. There's nothing on the work order except her name and address and what work was to be done, because no work was done on the car. Is that right?
Yeah, but it shows proof. I mean, if she went and had her car tinted someplace else and, say, got a bad job, she could sit there and say, I have a receipt.
Correct. She could have done that, sir. However, your employee had already gotten back the work order, so all she had was her car and her keys. Why did you open her car door?
Because she basically took the course of events from the very beginning to the very end and twisted them around. And
No. Let me explain something. It's not what happened. And you told her to be there at 8 o'clock. Happens all the time. You tell everybody that day, bring your car in at 8 o'clock. When you get around to doing their car, you do it. She hadn't specified to you what time she needed her car back. And this I'm getting all from what you told the police initially, sir. So, because she wasn't one of the customers that day that said, I need my car back in 4 hours, you pushed her over until later. And you did other cars before you did
no,
hers.
I never do that.
Well, you did. You were doing other cars before you did hers. But that's okay. You're entitled to do that.
No, I don't do that, ma'am.
Okay. You're entitled to do it if you want to do it. I mean, you hadn't started working on her car at noon, and she brought the car in at 8 o'clock in the morning.
We tell people to be there between 8 and 9 in the morning.
Fine.
Okay, the cars are done according to the way they came in. I have a very, very strong company policy of not putting anybody in front of somebody.
Listen to me, Mr. Singleton. You can tell people, be there at 8 o'clock. It takes 4 hours. You do not explain to them that you're coming in on a first-come, first-served basis. And that may be your policy. Because if you worked strictly on appointment, you would have said to her, be there at 2 o'clock and I will have your car ready for you at 6 o'clock. That's an appointment. But you don't. You have the cars stacked up so that the cars are waiting for you rather than you waiting for the cars. That's your business. You're entitled to do that. I'm not faulting you for that, sir. I'm faulting you because you opened her car door. The situation had already de-escalated. If there was any problem up front, any problem at all up front, that had already been resolved with your witness, who took the paperwork back. Right, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
So she had a car, she had her keys, she was hysterical, so she's out. So
Ma'am, may I tell you something?
I don't want to hear anything else from you, because I don't like exaggerators either. Do you understand what I'm saying to you?
I hear you.
Good, because what you testified to today did not require a whole bunch of tears. I mean, nobody killed your child, or you didn't find out that somebody died.
No, I'm
It's
very
months later.
sensitive.
It's months later. You had an altercation with a mechanic, which happens frequently, unfortunately, and he slammed the door, and I believe that he hurt your arm when he slammed the door, that the door hit your arm, because you're not totally in the car, you're not careful of that, and he slammed it, and at that moment it hurt your arm. I don't believe that you almost died as a result of that.
No, I
Understand
didn't.
that? Okay, so I don't see why it required all the tears, unless, as the defendant says, you're a little bit of an actress.
No, I'm very
That doesn't mean that
sensitive.
he's allowed to do what he did. He can't, because you slammed the door in her arm, and you hurt her. So aside from saying, I'm sorry, you got to compensate her. Let me see your medical bills. What day of the week was it that you went to his place of business?
It was a Thursday.
Were you working on Friday, June 28th?
Yes, I was at work.
Right. And am I correct that the first time you went to any sort of a clinic or doctor was not until July 1st?
Yes.
And what time did you go to the clinic on July 1st?
I went as soon as I could get the first appointment. I went between 8 and 8:30 in the morning.
And then you went to work that day.
No, I did not. I was taken off work for 3 days. I couldn't move my head. I couldn't drive.
But you were fine the next day.
No, I was not fine the next day.
You stayed at work all day on the 28th.
Yes, my arm was very sore.
Okay.
But it was 3 days later I woke up and something in my neck and my shoulder here was hurting me, and I couldn't lift my head off the bed. I called my supervisor. My supervisor from work came and picked me up and took me to the doctors. I couldn't drive. I couldn't hardly do anything.
What else do you want to tell me, Mr. Singleton?
I feel that when she called and said, "Is my car ready?" She says, "I have to have it by 2 o'clock. I have somewhere to go." I said, "Ma'am, it will be ready by 2 o'clock. It takes us an hour to do each car, then it will sit out outside for an hour. It's hot during the summertime. The tent dries quick." I says, "It will be ready by 2. She hangs up and calls back a minute later. "I'm going to come and pick up my car right now."
Fine.
Now, I've had people upset before because their car isn't being done first. But we do have a bad problem with people making appointments. If we try to do 8, 10, 12, 2, and people don't show, then we're sitting around for 2 hours not making any money. And it is a business.
I understand that, but she said, "I'm coming to get my car." She has a right to do that.
She does have a right to do that.
And I wasn't angry.
I didn't ask you to say anything.
Okay.
He's been very quiet when you've been testifying.
You're right.
Go ahead.
What she did to Rich and what she did to me.
What'd she do to you?
Basically, she twisted. She goes, "I can't believe you haven't touched my car yet."
So?
And I said, "Well, ma'am," I says, "we will have it done at that time." I says, "It's very frustrating, when you're sitting there trying to run a business and people," I'm very clear with people. I tell them.
So I'm not interested in being clear with people. I want to know why you didn't just let her get into her car and leave. You hadn't touched her car, hadn't done any work on her car. She has a right to let that happen. So, should have just let her go.
I probably should have.
And you were angry, and you slammed the car door on her.
Well, I know the door didn't touch her. I mean,
you don't know that at all.
I looked right at her.
You don't know that it didn't hit her at all. You were angry. You slammed the car door. That's what you did. That's what you did, Mr. Singleton.
Can I have Rich stand up for a sec?
No.
Because he was standing right there.
No. I believe that you slammed the car, that you were really angry, that she came in. It was one less job that you were going to do that day. You felt that she was being unreasonable, that you had told her to call at 2 o'clock. Instead of calling at 2, she called at 12, 2 hours beforehand, which took somebody away from what they were supposed to be doing in order to answer her questions when she was told not to call until 2 o'clock.
We don't tell people,
Well, she was told not to call until 2, that you weren't going to have any news for her until 2 o'clock as to when her car was going to be ready. Whatever it is, you don't want a dissatisfied customer. Not happy? She leaves. You lost your temper, and you slammed the car door, and it hurt her. It didn't hurt her $5,000 worth. Did you go to see a lawyer, by the way?
No.
Lawyer would tell her, this is not a $5,000 injury. How much out-of-pocket expense did you have?
$550.25, ma'am.
And how many days were you out of work?
3 days.
How much do you earn a day?
$136, ma'am.
Your out-of-pocket expenses are approximately $1,500. To that, I'm adding another $1,000 for your pain and suffering. That's it. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,500. That's all.
Thank you,
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Well, it's pretty evident the way she's crying and everything. She is a drama queen.
The whole thing was upsetting, and I'm glad that it's over now.
I think she blew everything up in her mind.
He did that to me and thought that he could do it and get away with it.
Nothing happened.
I hope that he doesn't do that to somebody else.
She referred to his size and basically called him a type of animal.
I'm just happy, and I hope he doesn't do that to somebody else.
I'm not saying that I did not get hot, but she was not just a total innocent victim.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Hardy versus Beaton. Step forward, please.
Groundskeeper Robin Hardy is suing Judy Beaton for dumping horse manure on her car. Judy admits she vandalized the car, but says Robin intentionally spooked her horse.
All right, Miss Beaton, I think we're going to start with you because you seem to acknowledge that you did, in fact, touch in some way the plaintiff's car. And you're going to tell me why you did that. So tell me when this incident happened and where you were.
Yes, Your Honor. It was March 12th. I was riding my horse on this road. I have photos if you'd like to see them.
Yes?
It's a very narrow, windy road with no sidewalks or sidebar to get off of the pavement. And I was almost back to my barn. I have to travel on the road about 100 yards from the trail to the barn. So I was just about to the driveway of the barn when I hear someone beeping in back of me 2 times, very long honking. My horse kind of caved in the back and took off down the road at a quick pace. And I wasn't ready for that, and I was almost toppled off. And I turned and I saw someone with a black car, and I yelled at the person. I said, "What are you, crazy?" And the person yelled back at me.
Person was the plaintiff.
Yes. I said something like, "What are you, a freaking idiot?" And she said, "Get out of the road," and passed me very close. As she passed me, she cut the wheel hard, almost hitting my German Shepherd dog who was in front of me, and sped off down the road. I tried to get a plate number, but I could just get a few initials, so that was it. And I went back to the barn, and I untacked my horse and put my horse away. I was really upset about it. You know, my heart was pounding, and I've broken several bones on my horse before, and I have 4 children at home to take care of, so...
You took the saddle off your horse, and what did you do?
I got a bag, grain bag here, and I put horse manure in it, and I started to drive home, thinking I might run into her car or her, because I thought maybe she was going to walk her dogs that were in the car at the reservoir down the road. So as I drove home, I did see her car. It was the only car in a parking lot marked DPW vehicles only, so it wasn't very hard to find it. And I pulled in next to it, and I took out the bag out of my car here. It's a paper bag. It's not going to cause any damage. And I had horse manure in the bag, and I shook the horse manure onto the trunk of the car, and I got in my car, and I drove away.
Go ahead.
Okay, first of all, I do not have a trunk of a car, and I find it ridiculous that she'd be driving around with horse manure looking for trouble.
Tell me what happened.
Okay, I was driving down the road with my dogs to take them to the res for a walk, and I was going around a corner, and I seen the defendant in the middle of the road. I've had horses. I know horses will spook if the wind blows. So I stopped. She didn't notice me, so I beeped real lightly, 2 quick beeps, and she turned around. She didn't even move. She turned around and screamed, "What are you, an effing idiot?" So I slowly went around her, and I yelled back to, you know, get to the side of the road wherever I yelled. I went to the res, walked my dogs, came back, and my hood windshield was covered with horse manure. Flipped out.
That was flaky, that flaky horse manure that she has there, or was it other kind of horse manure?
It wasn't that flaky.
What was it?
It wasn't wet, fresh horse manure.
It was more like that?
Yeah, but
Okay.
not quite as dry and fluff.
Okay.
And
So what did you do?
I called the police. They came down. They
And
helped
your
me.
windshield was covered?
Yes, and where the blades are, the wipers, it was packed in there. So that night, actually, I had to go somewhere, and I put my heat on. You could hear all the horse manure in the engine spitting out at me. I mean, I was really upset about it.
How did you find her?
I went to the stable the next day.
Because you figured it was her?
Yes, and I went there and seen her with her horse and told her. She stated it was not her. She's a school teacher. She has 2 kids. She wasn't even there at the time. She doesn't have a German Shepherd dog. And then the next day I went back there to tell the property owners, you know, what people are doing. I seen the nephew, and he told me that she was there, and she does have a black dog.
Okay, so she ultimately fessed up that it was her.
Exactly.
Okay, what kind of damage was done to the car, other than the mess?
I have pictures. Would you like to see them?
Yes.
Okay. The dent's right here. It's black, so it's hard to see. It's right there. There's 2 pictures there with the dent on it. And the third one is just a side profile of the car to see the condition.
Did you get an estimate on fixing it? It's hard to see.
Yes.
Can I see
have
the
2 of
estimate,
them.
please?
Yes. In fact, I went with the lowest estimate. I tried to be so reasonable with these people.
Okay. Anything you want to tell me?
Yes, Your Honor. The reason I didn't admit that it was me the next day at the barn is because she brought her husband with her, and they both came walking at me with scowls on their face, wanting to know who this girl was. So I denied it because I was at the barn by myself. And I said, if you do find this girl, I said, what do you want from her? And they both said almost in sync, we just want an apology. Then as the days went on, it went to $1,100 for a new hood.
$685.
It went down. There was several estimates.
That's what happens when you have estimates.
So actually, I went to the police because she was relentless to the owners of the barn, showing up, wanting my name and address. I had given her my cell phone number that day at the barn because I wanted to take it off of the owner and let her deal with me. Because I figured she would find out that it was me and I would be the one.
Okay, so you finally fessed up. Why did you go that extra step? I'm just curious, Ms.
I was
Beaton.
just very upset, and I don't know. I was sorry after I did it, but it was too late.
It's the wrong thing to do. Go ahead.
So we actually had a conference call, Your Honor, with the Wilmington Police Department to settle this because it just went on.
police report.
I'd like to see it.
It went on and on for days and maybe a week and a half, and I just want it to be over. So Officer from Wilmington Police Department.
It's the first paragraph, Your Honor.
Just a minute. Go ahead.
I had to go and file a no trespass order against Robin because she wouldn't stop going to the barn, and the owners were pressuring me to get rid of her because they were busy. They have children, and they didn't want her constantly stopping over there. So I filed a no trespass order against the barn address, not my address. And when I was at the Wilmington Police Department, he asked me if I would be interested in settling this, and I said yes. The next day, he called me at home, and we were both on the phone with Officer. And we talked, and I said, you know, I didn't damage your car. I may have put the manure on it. I did not dent your car. It's soft. I didn't do it.
Oh, but when you put the whole bag on the car in order to get it out, it dented the hood. It may have been very light stuff that was poured on it, but when all of it is in a bag and you fling it on a hood in order to spread it around, it caused a dent. Caused a dent, and you have to pay. And it was a stupid thing to do, Miss Beaton. So you have to pay for stupidity. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $685. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
What can I say? I think it's outrageous that school cheeses drive around with horse manure.
I still don't believe that it caused a dent. I think it was already there because her car's 6 years old.
And dump it where they want, when they're in a bad mood.
I thought I might teach her a little lesson.
She's an idiot.
Fear for my safety, fear of falling backwards off my horse.
I wanted to find her and choke her.
Don't take the law into your own hands, maybe?
She is an idiot, that's all I have to say.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Harvey versus Hyatt. Step forward, please.
Student Tammy Harvey is suing her ex-boyfriend, mechanic Glenn Hyatt, for the cost of breast reconstruction surgery. Glenn says Tammy's surgery is not his responsibility.
Miss Harvey, the defendant is a former boyfriend of yours, and it is your claim that he promised to pay for some repair work on breast implants that you had while you were together. You've since broken up, and he refuses to pay for this reconstructive kind of surgery, which you have not yet had. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay. Were you living together?
At one point.
When?
From March till December of the past year.
And you had breast augmentation surgery previously, is that
Yes.
right? When? How old were you?
27.
Okay. So when you were 27, you had breast augmentation surgery for the first time. Did you ever have any subsequent surgery?
Yes, I had problems.
What kind of problems did you have?
With the first set, I had hardening, which they took them out and put saline and silicone in, where they would enhance them gradually so it wouldn't build up the scar tissue.
And how
then
old were you when that happened?
all of this happened within 5 years. I had like 5 surgeries.
5?
Mm-hmm.
When you were 27, you had the first surgery. When did you have the next one?
Like the year after that.
Why?
After the hardening, they wanted to take out the bulbs that they used to put the saline in. And when he took the bulbs out, he wanted to just put in a new fresh set with the upgraded implants.
So that's when you were 28.
Right.
When did you have the next surgery?
It was a couple of weeks after that I developed a staph infection, and they removed the right breast implant, and then I went a year without an implant.
Without?
Right.
Miss Harvey, you went and had the implants put in again.
I had to because the skin had stretched so much. The doctor said it wouldn't look normal if he hadn't put another implant in there to replace the...
So then you were 29?
Correct.
So now I have 4 surgeries. When was the 5th?
The year after that, after the staph infection, he put new saline implants in, and then they were fine for the next 8 years.
What happened 8 years later? So at that point, you're about 38.
Right. I started dating the defendant, and I was having some problems. They were hurting. We massaged them together, Glenn and I, and in an intimate moment, the right one, it ruptured. And it took some time before the saline came down. But over time, you know, it was obvious, and it made a real impression on my self-esteem and everything. And the defendant and I were engaged to be married, And we were getting his finances in order so we could be married. So I was taking care of the majority of the bills and helping him. And when it came time for me to have my surgery, because last summer we couldn't enjoy going to the pool and everything like that, that's when he took me to the doctor. I had 2 consultations, and the surgeries were between $6,400 and $6,700. At that time, the defendant did a quick app financing the surgery, but it was denied. And now, I wanted to get this taken care of because it is noticeable, and I have pain because scar tissue builds up around the implant where it is because it's flat now, it's not smooth, and I have a lot of pain, and psychologically it's just hurting me, and he's backed away from his commitment to me.
Well, I didn't hear about a commitment.
We've talked over the 2 years about taking care of it.
As a couple?
As a couple.
When you were sharing expenses?
Correct.
Okay. You want to say anything, Mr. Hyde?
I just deny any responsibility for ever saying that I would pay for her surgery, and I had nothing to do with it, with her implant rupturing.
I have a quick app that he said he would pay for it, and I have the doctor's with a picture.
Okay, go ahead.
I filled out that application to help her get the money, for financing her surgery. That's the only reason that I did it. It wasn't to say that I would pay for it.
I think that there is some truth somewhere in the middle of your 2 statements, and that is that it was contemplated that as a couple, since you were going to be pooling your money at some point if you got married, this would be a joint debt because you were filling out the credit application if you couldn't get credit, and you were going to be a couple and move on, and this was just going to be one of the things that you had to pay off. Would that be a fair statement?
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Okay, so that's somewhere in the middle of he promised to pay for it and I didn't promise to pay for it. It was going to be a family debt. But you're no longer a family, Miss Harvey. That's your problem. There has to be a reason.
I put most of our debts for the past 2 years on my credit cards to help him get out of debt in the promise that we would be married. And I did have a promise he would pay for it. He's not telling the truth. He said he would pay for the surgery.
Oh, I think that it was a family obligation that when you were together, you put the majority of your money to use paying off debt. That was a nice thing. However, that does not create a promise that he would take care of this for you. I have just a couple of questions, Mr. Hyde. How much do you think she paid off in debt for you over the short time that you were together?
I don't recall her ever paying anything off for me. We took some trips and went to eat and things like that on her credit card. But as far as her taking money and paying any of my financial responsibilities, monthly debts and bills, that never happened.
So what you're saying is that she relieved you of certain stress by paying for your entertainment and your vacations and some living expenses.
He lived free.
Did you pay rent when you were living together?
I did not pay rent. I paid the utilities.
Not always. I paid 7 out of 5 times for the utilities.
I mean, you paid 5 times out of 7 months.
No, he was
Can't
more...
pay 7 out of 5. That math doesn't work. Miss Harvey,
yes.
The romance is over. It's sad that it's over. And I'm not going to give you any medical advice because I'm not a doctor, but it seems to me a substantial part of your late 20s, early 30s, and now beyond are involved in recuperating from surgery. Maybe you should just say, this was not meant to be.
The doctor said that I would have to have the surgery, and the implants needed to come out because of chance of infection, and that
Do you have medical insurance?
No, I don't. They won't cover it because it's cosmetic.
Well, this isn't cosmetic if the doctor says it has to come out. For medical reasons, that chance of infection, then that's not a cosmetic reason.
They both
Ms.
denied my insurance.
Well, then I would appeal it, because if what you're saying to me is that you have medical proof that this is dangerous to your health, then your insurance should pay for it. They may not pay for the reconstructive part, but they certainly should pay for removing them. In any event, I find that no promise existed, no contract existed between the plaintiff and the defendant for him to assume the full responsibility of your surgery. And unfortunately, Ms. Harvey, I think you're going to have to assume the responsibility of this surgery yourself. Case is dismissed, that's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I don't think Glenn was truthful, and if he was, that I would have had the judgment.
I think that justice was served.
He did make promises, and that was one of the promises for him to help me.
and now he doesn't want to.
I never made any of the promises or signed any contract stating that I would pay for the surgery.
It's been awful. I mean, my life's been upside down. I can't wear certain shirts. I have to cover myself up. I have pain.
And I wasn't responsible for the rupture of the implant.
I would just like to get on with my life.
If you want to continue a relationship with someone, then you shouldn't sue them.
It's not worth it.
That's not true.
What did you believe the purchase price was? Don't look there.
He was going to figure out a price later.
How much was the truck? See how you were looking over here? Now you're looking over there.
This is Judy Justice. Raphael Bainan is suing his former employee, Eric Myers, for the cost of a pickup truck, a gun, and a leather holster.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Case 3044, Bainan versus Myers.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Mr. Bainan, you have a drywall business?
Yes, Northside Drywall. I have been in business 30 years.
The defendant worked for you for a period of time. You're going to tell me about that. And it is your claim that during that period of time, you sold him a truck and he did not finish paying for it.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Mr. Myers says that he paid you $800 for the truck, that there was never a fixed price that you came up with for the truck, and that shortly after he had possession of the truck, it died and it's no longer drivable. What did you do, junk it?
We did not junk it, but it is out on her property at the moment.
So you have it?
Not in my possession, but yes, we still have it.
Yeah, we still have it. So, Mr. Myers, I'm going to start with you. When did you start to work for the plaintiff?
I believe it was around June or July of 2022.
And you were homeless at the time?
At that point, yes.
You moved on to the plaintiff's property with his permission?
Yes.
In a trailer or a camper or what?
And we were actually in a big ice shack.
An ice shed?
Yeah,
Who's we?
Me and my witness.
Is that your girlfriend?
No.
Who is it?
She is my ex-girlfriend.
She was your girlfriend. You were living together in the ice shed?
Yes.
Was it his ice shed?
Yes, it was.
You had a car?
She owned a car at that time when we met. A couple months after we met, she ended up crashing it, and we were left vehicleless. And at the time, I was working for him, so we worked out a deal to get the truck off the property to let me use while I worked for him to let, help us get around.
Okay. And what was the arrangement that you made at the time that you purchased the truck from him, that you made the deal with him for the purchase of the truck? The truck was not running. It was being used as a storage facility by the plaintiff.
Yes.
Did you spend any money to get it running?
I did spend about $100, I do believe.
Okay. Now, when you agreed to purchase the truck from him, were you over the phone, in person?
It was in person.
Okay. I'd like to see what you have, Mr. Bainan, of the amount that you contracted for with the defendant for the purchase of this truck. And Sarah, would you take a look for me to see a range?
Sure, I have that pulled up.
Okay, great. Hold on one second. Okay, let me just see what you have.
Okay. I have a contract, but it was sitting on the office table, and he refused to sign it, so.
This is not a contract. He didn't sign this.
No, he refused to sign it. It was sitting on the office table.
Well, he didn't sign it then. They didn't sign it for a reason.
Push it to the side, so.
Okay. Then it's not a contract, sir.
Well, no.
No. Okay, you have any other proof with you that he agreed to pay $2,200 for the truck? Where did you get the truck, by the way?
Actually come from Georgia. Well, I bought the truck probably 7 years earlier. I had it for quite some time.
And who did you purchase it from?
A private party.
Was it registered?
Yes, I registered it as soon as I purchased it.
Was it registered when you sold it to him?
Yes.
And it was a current registration?
Well, when I signed the title over, then he went and put it in his name.
Do you have the title to the truck?
Yeah.
I'd like to take a look at it. Mr. Myers?
Let's see, registration and the title.
I'd like you to tell me, you sound like a pretty intelligent guy. How much did you purchase the truck for?
We wrote $100, but...
No. How much did you purchase? She's looked up the value, which she's going to tell me in a moment, both private party, trade-in, etc. You paid $800 towards this truck.
Over time, yes.
Is that right?
I disagree with that.
How much did he pay?
I've only received one payment of $100.
Well, then he's going to show me the rest. Is that money that you took out of his pay?
Yes.
You have any other proof that you paid him any other money?
I do not have paper
Okay.
proof.
Well, that's unfortunate. But let's take for a moment, Mr. Myers, that you did pay him more than the $100 that he took out of your pay, and then you quit, then you left. What did you believe the purchase price was, sir? Don't look there.
Okay.
You don't look like a stupid person. You're buying a truck. You say you paid $800 over time. Let's say I believe you. You don't look like a stupid man who would pay $800 if you didn't know how much the total purchase price was. So you tell me how much you believed the total purchase price was. Now you're looking over there. You see how you were looking over here? Now you're looking over.
Original purchase price. All that happened is he was going to give us the truck, us put it in my name, so we can drive it and then figure out a price later. After we fixed it and figured out how much it's going to cost to fix the problems on it and to see the shape that it's.
Well, you said that it cost you $100 to get it up and running. That's what you said it cost you. How much was the truck, sir?
Over 2 months, he took money out of paychecks that I worked for him.
Well, show me that, because he says he only took out one payment of $100 and then you quit.
No, that's not true.
You have proof of how much you took out of his pay?
I have a calendar of the weeks he worked and how much I paid him.
Okay, I'd like to take a look at that.
Okay.
Maybe it'll be informative to me. Sarah, what's the range for this truck?
So I adjusted it based on the fact that it wasn't running, so I put it fair condition as opposed to good, and the 250,000 miles based on the complaint. To trade it in, which is to a more official dealership, $212 to around $1,000, and a private party, you know, the ranges are different, ranges from $1,100 to $2,500.
Got it. Wow. Well, you prepared this calendar, sir. All this calendar was prepared just recently because it's all in the same handwriting. Who wrote this calendar?
This is my daughter. She's my secretary.
Who wrote this calendar? All right. This is nonsense. She just wrote this today. Yesterday, the day before yesterday. It wasn't written. You can only introduce a paper document if the notations are made under the law contemporaneously with the event. That means at the same time as the event. This was all written by the same person at the same time with the same pen in different months. So this was all done in preparation for this case. So it's hearsay, inadmissible. Where did you get the purchase price of $2,200? At most, it's worth $1,000.
Well, it's Cali Blue Book, and it was rust-free.
But not rust-free, it wasn't running.
And later today.
I got a yes from my cousin, so then I started on the remodel in December.
You can't do that, Mr. Brzezinski. Sue your cousin. Your cousin authorized you to do work in the bathroom. He never authorized you to do anything.
Raphael Bainan claims his former employee, Eric Myers, owes for the cost of a pickup truck, a gun, and a leather holster.
Now, you have any other proof that he paid you only $100?
No.
No. Okay. And where did you get the purchase price of $2,200 for a truck that wasn't running? At most, it's worth $1,000. Where did you get a figure of $2,200 from?
Well, it's Cali Blue Book. We looked at that, and like I say, the truck is from Georgia. There was no rust. It was rust-free, which
But not rust-free. It wasn't running. You were using it according to you as storage, because the other part of your complaint is for a handgun that you say was in the truck that you never got back. You have the truck now?
I have it, yes, but it's on her property.
You have it. What are you showing me? You're showing me a picture of a gun that you had.
Well, it went missing, and nobody else took it. He was the only one who had access to where the gun was stored, so.
Well, that's not true. He was out shooting with somebody with a gun, according to you. Who was he shooting with?
That I do not know, Your Honor.
Who were you shooting the gun with?
I was shooting it with Matthew.
Is that right, Matthew?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. So Matthew had access to the gun. Who's Matthew?
Matthew's my foreman. He's been with me 15 years, so.
Yeah, okay. Matthew. After you were shooting the gun with the defendant, what did you do with it?
I left before
he was done shooting, and last I seen it was in one of the sheds.
In a shed?
Yeah.
Okay, you're his foreman.
Yes.
Foremen usually have people that work for them?
Yep.
Yep is not an answer. Yes is an answer.
Yes, ma'am.
How many people work under you?
Right now, just 2.
2 in addition to yourself?
Yes.
Do they come on this property?
Yeah.
Yes.
They just started working in the last 6 months.
At the time that he was there, how many people worked?
It was just me and Eric.
You paid him $800 for the truck because you thought that it was worth $800?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't believe you paid him $800 over time, because if you did, then you would have proof of it. But you can't take his property and retain his property and not pay for it. I don't believe that you had a fixed price of $2,200, which is why you refused to sign this contract. But I certainly believe that you owe him money for the truck. Yes. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $800. You know where the gun is?
No, absolutely not.
Where did you put it when you finished shooting it?
Where he said we walked it, there's 6 guns that all went into the garage, and I sat there for days.
Okay. That's it. $800. Judgment for the plaintiff. We're done.
This court is adjourned.
I do understand her verdict with it.
The settlement is done, so there's nothing I can do about it.
I just don't think he really kept track of what he was actually taking out of my pay, and, you know, it kind of showed in the case.
He felt like I was taking money out, but I was not.
Always keep better records, that's for sure.
I'm unhappy, but there's nothing I can do about it.
Purchase price is sort of the material part of a contract. That and a signature would have been nice. Any of these things. I know the plaintiff feels like he had a contract, but in reality, if you have a piece of paper that's not signed, you have a piece of paper, not a contract. Yeah. And, you know, if you can't decide on purchase price before, that's probably a good indicator that you shouldn't be entering into whatever agreement.
Turned over title to him. Mm-hmm. And he still has the truck, and it's still running. He's got to pay something for it.
Yeah, I agree.
I cannot imagine living in an ice shed shack. What was it?
I think he said ice shack, but I think you said ice shed. It all blurs together.
In
Wisconsin, I think, is where.
Wisconsin.
Wisconsin, middle of winter.
That's chilly there.
Yeah.
Grecia and Juan Galvan are suing their neighbor, Ruben Alonso, for vet bills after their dog was attacked by Ruben's dog.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Hello, Judge. Case 3060, Galvan versus Alonso.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Miss Galvan, that's your dog. Your dog's name is?
Yogi.
Yogi. And this is your dad?
Correct.
Miss Galvan, you and Mr. Alonso are neighbors?
Correct.
He lives across the street from you?
No, so he's actually 2 doors over to the left. So his house is the green one on the right side, and mine is the yellow on the left.
Pink house is in between. How long have you lived in your house?
About 15 years now.
And your dog is 13?
Yes.
And Mr. Alonso, how long have you lived in your house?
7 years.
Who do you live there with?
With my wife and my kids.
How old are your children?
My oldest ones are 17 years old, and my youngest one is 13. And my forgot to say my son, Jason Alonso. He's 24 years old.
He lives at home?
Yes.
And you have a dog?
Yes, ma'am.
What kind of dog do you have?
He's an American Bully.
American Bully is a combination pit bull and what?
Between a pit bull and an English bulldog.
A male dog?
Yeah, male dog.
How old is he?
He's 4 years old.
How long have you had him?
4 years.
How much does he weigh?
70 pounds.
And his name?
Max.
It is your claim, Miss Galvan, that your neighbor, Mr. Alonso's dog, bit and severely injured yours.
Correct.
Also causing some injury to your dad.
Yeah.
Mr. Alonso says that his dog was on a leash, your dog was not, and whatever fight or scrapping the dog has and the injuries to your dog were therefore not his responsibility because your dog was off leash. That's your defense?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So this incident happened when, Miss Galvan?
On the morning of April 28th at 4:30 in the morning.
4:30 in the morning?
Correct, yeah.
What was everybody doing up 4:30 in the morning?
I work at 5 a.m., so I was heading out to work.
And what was your father doing up at that hour?
He too works at the same company, so we carpooled together, and he was walking my dog for me.
Would you ask Mr. Galvan to tell me what happened at about 5 o'clock on April 28th of this year when you were walking Yogi?
Estaba caminando mi perro.
I was walking my dog.
En el momento en que abrí el gate, estaba abriendo el gate.
At the moment that I opened the gate, I was opening the gate.
Could you walk up to the photograph and show me where you were.
Aquí.
You were over there.
Right here. Estaba abriendo el gate.
I was opening the gate.
Oí pasos corriendo. Cuando volteé, miré al perro del señor.
I heard steps of something running. When I turned, it was the man's dog.
Where was the dog coming from?
De aquí.
From here.
Could you see Mr. Alonso?
No.
No.
Just the dog.
It wasn't true.
Perro cuando ya.
Shh, Mr. Alonso, you're going to have a chance to tell me your version of the events.
Miré al perro cuando ya estaba encima de nosotros.
I saw the dog when it was already on top of us.
Volteé y me golpeó en las piernas con el cuerpo.
I turned and it hit my legs with its body.
Me tambaleó y quedé recargado en el gate.
It made me tumble and I leaned against the gate.
Ya cuando reaccioné, el perro ya estaba atacando a mi perro de la espalda.
When I came to, it was attacking my dog on its back.
Fuertísimo. Lo movía feo.
Very harshly. It was shaking it badly.
Traté de estarlo auxiliando, quitarlo.
I tried to help him and to pull it off.
Why don't you step back now so that... Go ahead. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Traté de estarlo sacando. Llegó mi hija a auxiliarme.
I tried to help, and my daughter came to help.
Y estuvimos forcejeando.
And we were struggling.
Stop one moment. Miss Galvin, at what point did you observe this interaction between your dog and Max?
Instantly. I was walking out of my house and I have full visual of my entire driveway, and I immediately saw when my dog started crying for help. The defendant's dog, Max, was mauling him and viciously attacking him.
What I want to know is when you came out of your house, because you didn't see how it started, you saw that Max was on your dog at that point. Did you see Mr. Alonso?
No.
I would like you to walk over. Your father will take him. Just walk over there and show me where you were when you came out and where your dad was with your dog.
Our front door is right about here, and I was walking out, and my father was here.
Right on the corner near the...
Opening the gate, correct.
Okay. Now you can go back. Miss Galvin, at what point did you see Mr. Alonso, if at all, that day?
After a few seconds of us trying to separate the two dogs, he did come out and try to...
So you saw him coming from his house?
Yeah, he was running from his house.
Running?
More or less.
And what happened when he got to where the two dogs were?
Well, the dog was unleashed and without a collar, so the defendant grabbed his back legs and attempted to separate the two.
Was he successful?
At the time, yes.
So Mr. Alonso grabbed his dog's back legs and pulled him off yours?
Correct, yeah.
And then what did he do?
At that instance, my father picked my dog up through his leash, almost strangling him, to put him on the car that was outside for his safety. The dog, Max, then lunged at my father. I intervened by kicking for his safety, and I got bit in my shoe.
It's not true, Your Honor.
When you say you got bit by Max.
Correct.
Did it go through your shoe?
No.
But
I did get bit, and I felt it.
Okay, but it didn't pierce your skin?
No. My main concern was my dog's damages.
Okay. And Mr. Alonso was finally able to pull his dog off yours?
Correct.
And off
actually
you?
Got dragged on the cement and
Who
the
did?
sidewalk. Mr. Alonso. His dog is very, very strong.
Would you show me, go back to there and show me, Miss Galvin, when you say Mr. Alonso got dragged, show me where. I saw where the incident took place in the corner.
Correct.
And where did his dog drag him? I want to...
Grecia and Juan Galvan claim their neighbor, Ruben Alonso, owes for vet bills after Ruben's dog attacked their dog. Ruben says his dog was the one attacked.
Where did his dog drag him?
So everything started here. We eventually tried separating the dogs towards this way. Mr. Alonso was dragged from this area down. The car was parked here, so we managed to put the dog on top of the car, and Mr. Alonso was on the floor wrestling his dog to control him.
You took your dog to the vet?
Immediately, yes.
You have the vet report and bill?
I do.
May I see it, please? Kevin? So your vet bills look in total to be about $4,600.
About 58, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay, I may have missed one.
He suffered a level 4 bite wound, and from
He
the
was
accident.
very seriously injured. There's no question. He was very seriously injured, spent a long time in the hospital. Okay, Mr. Alonso, the ball is in your court, sir. I'd like to hear your version of what happened.
The date on April 28, what happened, I was walking my dog with the leash. That's what I usually do every day before I go to work.
That's not true, Your Honor.
Don't speak.
That's what I usually do.
I don't care. Mr. Alonso,
Yes.
I want you to understand something.
Yes.
I don't care what you usually do.
Okay.
And there are certain things that are common sense.
All right.
Do you understand?
Yes. Okay, I was on April 28, I was walking my dog on a leash.
And I also want to tell you to be very careful what you tell me.
Okay.
Very careful.
April 28, I was walking my dog on a leash.
Show me where you were.
I was walking to the left, right here. That's my house on the green.
I know where your house is.
Okay, I was walking to this when I noticed that the gate was open, and then when I was getting close by, her dog started coming out, barking to the sidewalk, biting my dog in the legs. Okay, biting my dog in the legs. Then when I start pulling out my dog from their dog, that's when Juan and Grecia came out. They so they start grabbing their dog too. Okay, Grecia even apologized after the dog to the vet. And then later on, when she received the bill, she wanted me to pay her back.
Your
I said,
Honor.
shh, shh, shh. I said I wasn't gonna pay her back because it wasn't my fault or my dog's fault. They leave the gate open and their dog unattended.
I want to tell you something. I do not believe you.
Why not?
I don't answer questions. I get answers to questions, and then I have to say to myself, these two people, they were going to work at 4:30 in the morning. You were out at the same hour. Do you work at that hour?
I was about to go to work too. That's what I was taking my dog out.
There are other adults in the house.
Yes, I have 2 more.
Okay. They were all sleeping at 4:30 in the morning?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So you opened your door, and you have to understand, sir, I am particularly unabashedly sensitive to pit bulls who are unleashed or not watched. Your dog is 4 years old. I don't know. I assume you have had no prior incident with your dog.
No, ma'am.
Okay.
That's not true.
We'll get to it. Last article, I keep them in my desk drawer, about pit bulls was a baby, a 3-month-old baby, left alone for a second with a pit bull. The pit bull gnawed off his hands. That was last week. So you have to understand that I'm particularly sensitive to a large animal that's capable of causing serious injury, being unattended for a second. You answered my question very quickly whether your dog, Max, had any prior incidents. You said no. Plaintiff seems to say that that's not true. Now, she's going to tell me about a prior incident, unless you want to tell me about it first.
I never noticed or nothing. Nobody informed me about another accident or nothing.
Your answer is you don't know about a prior incident with your dog.
Yes, I don't.
Is that
know
right?
about it. Yeah.
Why don't you tell me what you know?
First things first, I have an animal control report that proves his statement of his leashed dog incorrect.
May I see it, please?
This is the second attack. Sorry about that.
Well, this recites your version of the events.
Correct.
And the report indicates you're Ruben, is that correct?
Yes.
That you ran out to the scene to try to separate your dogs. Did you speak to animal control?
Yes, I did.
You spoke to them on what date?
2 days after.
May 1st.
Yes.
So you spoke to them?
Yes.
Then this write-up incorporates what you told them, which is consistent with what Ms. Galvin testified to, sir. Okay, I don't know where you are showing me that this was not the first instance.
So the first instance was about a little bit over a year ago, where his dog attacked my dog and he didn't break skin. So animal control refused to create an actual incident report.
Tell me when that was. That was about a year ago.
Yes, so it was actually my mother who was walking my dog. I was out of state at the time. I have a witness statement if that helps for anything, but my mother was walking the dog where his dog was...
You were not there?
No, but...
Then I can't take that evidence because it's hearsay.
Okay.
Do you understand?
Okay, I understand. The second attack was on a 10-year-old German Shepherd walking in front of our house, walking on a leash by his owner. And again, the dog was out loose. without a leash or collar, where he attacked the German Shepherd.
Was that within the year?
Late January, yeah.
Late January of this year?
Only 5-6 months ago.
Did you observe that?
I did. I assisted in separating and keeping the German Shepherd safe.
Who came out of the Alonso house to retrieve their dog? Was it Mr. Alonso or his son or one of the other children?
I think it was his younger daughter.
What's your younger daughter's name?
No, I got two. They're twins. So I don't know which one she's talking about. Because I never...
Well, you know them both, right?
Yeah, I know them both.
Just a second. Listen to me carefully.
Okay.
You know them both. Mr. Alonso, I don't want you to play with me.
I'm not playing with you, Your Honor.
So there's no question that if anything happened with a German Shepherd and one of your twins, who were not babies, came out and retrieved your dog, they would have told you about it.
I haven't heard from nothing from that.
Really?
He was involved, Your Honor.
What?
I spoke to him about the situation just days after the last incident with him. I brought the German Shepherd and the owner, and
Where's the proof?
Grecia and Juan Galvan have accused their neighbor, Ruben Alonso, of owing for vet bills after his dog attacked their dog. Ruben claims their dog was off leash and started the fight.
Just a second.
He said, "Your dog barks a lot. That's why my dog attacked him." Your Honor, if my dog knew how to talk, we wouldn't be here.
Just a second. When you say that after this attack on your dog, the serious one.
Correct, yeah.
You brought the German Shepherd. Whose German Shepherd was it?
Somebody that lives in our community.
And the owner?
Yes.
To see Mr. Alonso.
Correct, because Mr. Alonso said that my dog was barking too much, and that's why Max attacked him.
Okay, so now you bring the German Shepherd. Your dog, Yogi, is at the vet.
No, this is a few days post-op. My dog was recovering inside, indoors.
Okay, so your dog is indoors, but wasn't with you when you went to confront Mr. Alonso with the German Shepherd?
Yes.
And the owner of the German Shepherd?
Correct.
Okay, and can you tell me what Mr. Alonso said during that confrontation about the German Shepherd? Not your dog. What did he say about the German Shepherd?
Nothing. His demeanor was very aggressive. He turned, he was up putting on some cameras in his home. He turned, did not say a word, and turned back around. And his son was there as well.
Really?
Yeah.
Stand up. Over there, please. Your first name?
Jason.
Jason, do you remember Miss Galvin coming to the house? Your father was there. She was there with a German Shepherd and its owner. That's a yes or a no?
Yes.
Okay. Were you close enough to hear the conversation? That's a yes or a no?
Yes.
Did you hear the conversation about your dog at some point having a confrontation with the German Shepherd?
Yes, I did, Your Honor.
Tell me what you heard.
The plaintiff ended up bringing the owner of the dog over, and he...
The owner of the Shepherd?
Yeah, the owner of the Shepherd. And he said he didn't want to start no problems or nothing.
He didn't want to?
He didn't want to start any problems.
Who said? The owner of the Shepherd?
The owner of the Shepherd.
The owner of the Shepherd said, I don't...
It was an accident and stuff happens, and he didn't want no problems with this.
I want to know, before he said that, what was said about Max attacking the Shepherd?
The plaintiff was claiming that...
Plaintiff said
that Max bit the German Shepherd.
Okay. And the German Shepherd and the German Shepherd's owner was there.
Correct.
What did your father say?
He was just quiet during the instance.
Just a second. So he said nothing?
Correct.
Did you say anything?
At the current moment, I was actually holding the ladder stand because he was on a 10-foot ladder installing cameras. That is very unsafe for me to try to tell him anything.
Just a second. Did he come down from the cameras?
He was still installing the cameras as they came up.
Well, now there are two people there. One person there with a dog that he knows has been seriously injured by his dog, and a German Shepherd who I'm absolutely positive that one of your sisters discussed with him had an incident some months before. Don't say no, because I have to tell you something. You lied to me once. You lied to me once, sir.
That accident wasn't nobody said nothing to me about it. That's why I didn't talk to the guy, because I don't know if she...
Well, you talked to her. What I'm telling you, Mr. Alonso, is you lied to me once. I believe nothing else. Certain things are common sense. I have children. I've had dogs. If one of my dogs was involved in an incident, and I was involved in separating them, and I was involved in making the situation better, when my parent came home from work, I would say, let me tell you what happened. And they would tell you. Or they would tell their older brother what happened. And the older brother might tell you. But somebody would tell you.
It wasn't brought to my attention.
Wasn't brought to your attention. I'm going to bring something to your attention. Do you have homeowners insurance? Do you own your house?
I don't own a house. I rent the house.
You rent the house. Do you have renter's insurance?
Yes.
Does the renter's insurance that you have know that you have not a French bulldog? Because that's what it says here. Somebody identified your dog as a French bulldog. French bulldog is different from a bully.
I have a license that says it's not even a pit bull. It's an American bully.
It's classified in its own.
I actually know what an American bully is. It's not a French bulldog. Do you have a French bulldog?
We do not.
Your Honor, he has 3 in his garage at the time. And sometimes when he illegally breeds, he has 7 or 8 at a time.
It's not illegal.
Not true.
We got papers to prove that.
We're licensed breeders, Your Honor. All of our dogs are purple ribbon UKC show dogs.
That doesn't make this dog any less vicious.
Correct.
Do you understand?
Yes, I do, Your Honor.
Dog caused serious injury, and either your father is just in a total state of denial or he hasn't been introduced to the truth. I don't know which one it is. Either way, I'm entering a judgment for them for the full amount of their vet bills. Now it's documented that your dog has attacked at least once. And if you let that dog or any of your other dogs out, they're going to take that dog and destroy it. You do know that.
Yes, we do.
And that will be your fault because you're the owner and the responsible person to make sure that a dog that is capable of serious physical injury doesn't injure a person or another animal. That's your responsibility and any other adult who lives in the house. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $6,500. We're done. Thank you.
This court is adjourned.
I think the decision was bad. I mean, they tried to consider my dog a pit bull. He's not a pit bull.
She was just, she followed the truth, and that's all we could have asked for.
Their dog got out and started biting my dog, so my dog defended himself.
Mentira, porque él nunca lo miré, el perro apareció de repente sin collar, sin correa, y fue cuando nos empezó a tocar al perro y a mí.
It's a lie. He came and there was never a leash, neither a collar. And that's when the dog started attacking the dog and myself.
Probably set up another fence in front of our yard, probably establish something a little bit more secure than what we have now.
Yeah, I've had him for more than half my life. I mean, that's my companion, my bud, my best friend, and to see him in pain for like weeks after was even equally as traumatic as the incident itself.
I definitely would say it'd be avoided. We will be taking precautions going forward, make sure this doesn't happen again.
The truth always comes to light.
I always say if you choose to get a breed of dog, that's your choice. And if the dog, for some reason, and dogs can go off, attacks you, you're a grown-up, you've made a conscious choice. But when you bring a dog that has the potential.
Your big opportunity. You want to earn money, be your own boss? Fiverr is calling your name. It's a place where your skills turn into cash, no more waiting. The time is now. So many people are crushing it on Fiverr. You can be one of them. Yes, you. Stop doubting. Start doing. Fiverr is a huge online marketplace. Think of it like a giant store for services. People from all over the world go there. They need help with all sorts of things: writing, design, music, tech stuff, and more. If you have a skill, any skill, listen. Someone on Fiverr is looking for you. They need what you can offer. This is your chance to connect and earn. It's a platform built for hustlers like you. Why is Fiverr so great for beginners? First, it's super easy to start. You don't need a fancy degree. You don't need a ton of experience. You just need a skill and the drive. The platform guides you. You can start small, learn as you go, build your reputation 1 gig at a time. Signing up for Fiverr. Ready to make the leap? Good. Signing up for Fiverr is simple. Super simple. They made it easy for you. No excuses. Go to the Fiverr website, fiverr.com. Look for the Become a Seller button. It's usually right there, easy to find. Click it. That's your first real step. Don't overthink it. Just do it. This is where the action begins. Your Fiverr journey starts with this click. You have a few ways to sign up. You can use your email address, or you can use your Facebook account, and you can also use your Google account. Pick the one that's easiest for you. Fiverr wants to make it smooth. Enter your details. Follow the prompts. It's like signing up for anything online. No complicated stuff here, just basic info. Get it done. Move to the next step. Now, let's talk about your username. This is important. Pay attention. Your username is your brand on Fiverr. Choose it carefully. Make it professional.
building a profile that pops. Your profile is your storefront, your handshake. It's the first thing buyers see. Make it count. A good profile builds trust. Instantly, it tells people you're serious, professional. Don't rush this part. Take your time. Think about what makes you stand out, what makes you unique, what value do you bring. This is your chance to shine, so let's make your profile awesome. People buy from people they trust. Remember that. First, your profile picture. Super important. Use a clear photo of yourself. Smile, no sunglasses, no blurry pictures, no cartoons. People want to see who they are hiring. A friendly face builds connection. It makes you seem approachable, trustworthy. Think professional, but also friendly. This little picture says a lot. So choose a good one, a really good one. It's your digital first impression. Make it strong. Next up, your tagline or short bio. This is a one-liner under your name. Make it catchy. Section 4, your first gig, what will you offer? Okay, profile's looking sharp. What's next? Your gig, this is the service you sell. This is the core of your Fiverr business. What skill do you have that people will pay for? Think hard, everyone has something. Can you write, design, edit videos? Can you do voiceovers, translate, manage social media? Maybe you're great at research or data entry. List all your talents, big or small. One of them is your golden ticket on Fiverr. Don't try to offer everything at once. Pick one thing to start, one specific service. This is called niching down. It's smart. It helps you target the right buyers. It makes you look like an expert. For example, instead of I do graphic design, try I design minimalist logos for businesses. See? More specific is usually better. You can always add more gigs later. Start focused. Section 5, make it shine. Creating an awesome gig page. You've picked your service, awesome. Now let's build your gig page. This is where buyers decide to click order. First, your gig title, hugely important. It needs to be clear. It needs to be catchy. Use strong keywords that buyers search for, like I will design a stunning business logo, or I will write SEO-friendly blog posts. Keep it focused on the main benefit. What will the buyer get? Make it obvious. Next, choose the right category and subcategory. Fiverr has a list. Pick the best fit. This helps buyers find you when they search. Then add search tags. These are keywords. Think like a buyer. What words would they type? Use all the tag spots Fiverr gives you. Use relevant terms, specific terms. Good tags mean more views for your gig. More views can mean more orders. Simple, so choose your category and tags wisely. Now, pricing. Fiverr uses gig packages, usually basic, standard, and premium, offer different levels of service. The basic package is your entry point. The standard offers more features. Section 6, lights, camera, action, gig images, and getting published. Your gig page is almost ready, but wait, visuals are everything, seriously. Your gig image or video is the first thing people see in search results. It needs to grab attention instantly. A great image makes people click. A bad image makes them scroll right past. So put effort into your gig visuals. It's a massive part of your success. Don't underestimate the power of a good picture. Make it look professional and inviting. What makes a good gig image? It should be clear, high quality, no blur. It should represent your service well. If you design logos, show examples of logos. If you write, use text that's easy to read. Use bright colors, keep it simple, uncluttered. You can add text overlay on your image, like your gig title or a key benefit. Make sure it's easy to read on small screens. Fiverr has size guidelines. Follow them. Consider making a gig video. Even better, videos convert much higher than images. Section 7, get that order. First sales and growing strong. Your gig is live. High five. Now, how do you get that first order? It can be tough, but you can do it. One great way is to promote your gig. Share it on your social media, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn. Tell your friends, tell your family. Let everyone know you're on Fiverr. You never know where your first client will come from. Put your gig link in your email signature. The more you share, the more chances you have. Be patient, but also be proactive. Fiverr has a buyer requests section. Check it daily, multiple times a day. Buyers post projects they need help with. You can send offers to these requests. Tailor your offer to each request. Don't copy-paste. Show them you understand their needs. Explain how you can help them. This is a great way to land early orders. It shows you're hungry, you're ready to work. When you get an order, communicate clearly. Respond quickly to messages.